In the heart of Central Asia lies a nation that almost no one on the planet has visited. In fact, it is considered one of the most isolated countries in the modern world. Few maps label it correctly. Few governments engage with it diplomatically. And very few people even know its official name. Yet this country exists. Its people live, work, and build communities within its borders. Its government operates daily, and its citizens have dreams, ambitions, and a history that stretches back centuries. This is North Korea, officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. For decades, North Korea has maintained a level of secrecy, control, and isolation unmatched in modern history. Borders are tightly guarded, media is state-controlled, and contact with the outside world is severely limited. Unlike most nations, North Korea does not rely on global trade in the conventional sense. Its economy, infrastructure, and even daily life are designed around extreme self-sufficiency. But how did it reach this level of isolation? The roots of North Korea's global isolation lie in the 20th century. Following the division of the Korean Peninsula after World War II, the northern half of Korea came under Soviet influence. Under the leadership of Kim Il-sung, the country developed a strict centralized government, a command economy, and a powerful military. Over time, this ideology of self-reliance, known as Juche, became the backbone of the nation. North Korea's relationship with the outside world has been defined by tension, suspicion, and strict control. While much of the globe advanced technologically, economically, and diplomatically, North Korea remained deliberately isolated. Its cities may appear functional, but they operate under a system designed to limit external influence. Foreign journalists, tourists, and international observers are heavily restricted. Only carefully controlled access is allowed, and even then, visitors are always under supervision. Despite this, North Korea is far from stagnant. The country has invested heavily in its military capabilities, scientific research, and infrastructure. Its citizens undergo rigorous training, education, and indoctrination, and the state maintains tight control over media, communication, and even personal interactions. Internationally, North Korea is known for one thing above all: its defiance of global norms. The nation has pursued nuclear weapons programs, missile testing, and strict control over its population, leading many countries to impose sanctions, limit trade, and avoid diplomatic relations. As a result, North Korea exists in a peculiar state. It is recognized as a country, yet it is largely excluded from global systems. Its people cannot travel freely, its goods cannot reach most international markets, and its government is constantly under scrutiny from the United Nations and other global institutions. And yet, North Korea's story is not only one of isolation. It is also a story of survival. Despite decades of sanctions, famines, and economic hardship, the country continues to function, educate its children, and maintain a sense of national identity. But the question remains, why has the world effectively banned North Korea? Why has this nation been pushed to the margins of global society? To understand this, we need to look beyond headlines and explore the history, ideology, and geopolitical dynamics that have shaped North Korea into one of the most mysterious and controversial nations on Earth. North Korea's path to isolation is rooted in a combination of ideology, ambition, and defiance. From the earliest days of its modern statehood, the country chose a route that diverged sharply from the rest of the world. At the center of this divergence is the nuclear weapons program. For decades, North Korea has invested heavily in developing nuclear capabilities, claiming that these weapons are necessary for its survival. While most nations pursue diplomacy and international agreements to limit nuclear proliferation, North Korea has openly defied global norms. Missile tests are conducted publicly, often accompanied by statements warning the world of its military might. These actions have had a profound effect. The United Nations, along with major world powers like the United States, South Korea, and Japan, have imposed sanctions aimed at restricting North Korea's economy and pressuring it to comply with international regulations. Sanctions target everything from exports and imports to financial transactions, creating severe constraints on trade and international engagement. Yet despite this pressure, the North Korean government continues to prioritize its nuclear ambitions above all else. Equally significant are the human rights concerns. Reports from defectors, NGOs, and international organizations have highlighted systemic violations of basic freedoms. Citizens face extreme restrictions on movement, speech, and access to information. Education, work, and even personal relationships are tightly controlled by the state. These human rights issues have added another layer to North Korea's global isolation. Countries around the world are wary of engaging diplomatically, fearing that recognition or engagement might legitimize a regime that systematically suppresses its own people. The nation's strict control over information is another reason it remains effectively banned in the eyes of the world. Foreign journalists are heavily monitored, and independent reporting is nearly impossible. Citizens rarely have access to external news sources, limiting their awareness of global events. This isolation extends to technology and commerce. North Korea has very limited access to the internet, and most of the digital tools the modern world takes for granted are unavailable to its citizens. International companies, banks, and corporations avoid doing business with North Korea due to legal sanctions and reputational risk. Even when attempts are made to engage, they are heavily constrained. Diplomatic relations are limited to a few select countries, and trade is often mediated through third parties or conducted clandestinely. The combination of military defiance, human rights abuses, and strict control over its people has created a nation that is effectively excluded from the international community. It is a country that exists politically and geographically, but one that the world has, in many ways, banned from participation in global affairs. Yet, despite these restrictions, North Korea continues to survive. Its government maintains order, enforces laws, and even engages in limited diplomacy when strategic opportunities arise. It has built a system that, while isolated, is resilient, able to withstand economic pressure, sanctions, and global criticism. Some argue that this self-imposed isolation has allowed North Korea to preserve its national identity and avoid the destabilizing effects of global integration. Others see it as a dangerous experiment in defiance, a country teetering on the edge of collapse but refusing to conform to the rules of the modern world. As we move to the next part of this documentary, we will explore the consequences of North Korea's isolation, how its policies affect its citizens, its neighbors, and the global community. We will also examine what the future might hold for a nation that the world has largely turned its back on. North Korea's isolation is not just a political or diplomatic phenomenon. It has real, profound effects on its people and the wider region. Inside the country, citizens face daily hardships that are rarely seen anywhere else in the modern world. Food shortages, limited access to healthcare, and restricted freedom of movement define life for millions. While the government maintains strict control and order, ordinary people often struggle to secure basic necessities. Education exists, but it is heavily infused with state ideology. From a young age, children are taught loyalty to the ruling family and the principles of the Jewish philosophy. Independent thought is discouraged, and exposure to foreign ideas is limited, creating a population largely insulated from the outside world. Economically, the country faces immense challenges. Sanctions have limited trade, and domestic production cannot fully meet the population's needs. Black markets exist, and smuggling is often the only way citizens can access goods not approved by the state. Yet, even in these conditions, the government prioritizes its military and nuclear programs above civilian welfare. For the global community, North Korea's isolation creates persistent tension. Its missile tests and nuclear ambitions are a constant source of concern, forcing neighboring countries like South Korea and Japan to maintain heightened military vigilance. Meanwhile, global powers like the United States engage in careful diplomacy, attempting to prevent escalation while balancing sanctions and strategic pressure. Internationally, North Korea remains an enigma. For decades, world leaders have struggled to engage the nation without compromising security or international law. Every move it makes is closely watched, every action dissected for meaning, and every negotiation approached with caution. Yet, there is also a side to North Korea that few outside observers see. Despite its isolation, The country has developed a distinct national identity and a sense of unity among its people. Cultural traditions continue, public celebrations are observed, and a deep sense of pride exists in surviving under conditions that most of the world could scarcely imagine. The paradox of North Korea is clear. It is at once one of the most isolated and one of the most scrutinized nations on Earth. Its policies have pushed it to the margins of global society, yet they have also preserved its sovereignty and maintained an order that many neighboring regions envy. The question for the future is uncertain. Will North Korea remain isolated indefinitely? Could engagement with the global community bring change? Or would it destabilize the carefully maintained order within its borders? And what role will international powers play in shaping the trajectory of a nation that so few truly understand? This is the story of a country banned by the world, yet stubbornly present on the map. A nation that challenges our assumptions about sovereignty, freedom, and survival. A country that forces us to consider the consequences of isolation for its people, its neighbors, and the globe. North Korea is more than headlines, missile tests, or political debates. It is a nation of people, history, and complexities that the world has largely chosen to ignore. If you're fascinated by countries whose stories remain hidden from the mainstream, make sure to subscribe to Country Mystery. Join us as we continue uncovering the world's most secretive, controversial, and misunderstood nations, and discover the hidden forces shaping our global future. Do well to share and subscribe to this channel for interesting videos like this. Stay safe.